have you ever found yourself dreaming, maybe, of building something truly original, something, so revolutionary it just carves out its own unique space?
Or maybe you felt that pressure,
Wow.
right? The pressure to innovate. But you keep wondering, am I just polishing an old idea here?
Exactly. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a book that really challenges a lot of our notions about innovation and competition. It's Peter Thiel's Zero to One, Building Lasting Monopolies.
Thiel, of course, co-founder of PayPal, early Facebook investor, quite the Silicon Valley figure.
Definitely. And this book offers a, let's say, provocative vision based on his own experiences, compiled from his Stanford lectures. So our mission today is to unpack Thiel's core ideas. We want to understand what he actually means by zero to one thinking and get into why he champions monopolies. But we're not stopping there. We're going to put his philosophy under the microscope, look at the strengths, yes, but also the weaknesses, some controversial bits.
Especially through the lens of a pretty insightful critical review we found. And what's fascinating, I think, is how Thiel's ideas give this really distinct, almost contrarian view on business success.
Yeah.
He basically says true progress, the big leaps, come from creating something totally new, not just making existing things, incrementally better.
So we want to help you figure out what's genuinely useful here and maybe what needs a bit more critical thinking as you apply it.
Exactly. Discernment is key.
Okay, let's get into the central concept then. The title, Zero to One. Thiel talks about two types of progress. What are they, and why is one so much more valuable in his eyes?
Right. So he lays out 0 to 1 and 1 to n. 0 to 1 is all about creating something genuinely new, a new technology, a whole new product category, a business model nobody's tried before.
Like going from nothing to something. Vertical progress, he calls it.
Precisely. Vertical progress. It's about asking, what important truth do very few people agree with you on? Or what valuable company is nobody building? Think the first search engine or the smartphone.
Or PayPal, his own venture.
Exactly. These didn't just improve things. They fundamentally changed the game. That's the 0 to 1 leap.
And 1 to N.
That's horizontal progress. Scaling, copying, iterating on what already exists. Taking something that works and just making more of it, or making it slightly better. Important maybe for globalization and spread, but Thiel argues it doesn't create truly new value in the same way.
So for you listening, this isn't just like dry business theory. It's a real mindset shift.
Totally.
Are you looking to optimize the wheel, make it a bit faster, a bit smoother? Or are you trying to invent, I don't know, teleportation, a whole new way to move?
That distinction really frames the ambition, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, here's where things get, well, really interesting and maybe a bit controversial for some. Thiel flat out says, monopoly is the goal.
That word definitely raises eyebrows.
Right. It conjures images of, unfair practices, crushing competitors. But he means something different, doesn't he?
He does. He's careful to define what he calls a good monopoly. And it's absolutely not about eliminating rivals through dirty tricks or regulatory capture.
Okay, so what is it then?
It's about being so uniquely good at what you do, maybe 10 times better than the closest substitute, that you essentially own your market. You have real pricing power, healthy margin.
And the freedom to think long term.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's crucial. You're not trapped in that brutal, short-term fight for survival that intense competition often forces. You can invest in R&D, take risks, think about the future. He points to Google and search as an example. They created such a superior product, they achieved a near monopoly, capturing immense value.
So it's about creating something people would genuinely miss if it disappeared.
That's the idea, lasting value. And conversely, he argues that intense competition, what he sometimes calls the ideology of competition, is actually destructive.
Destructive how?
It drives profits down towards zero, forces companies into short-term thinking, makes everyone copy each other, basically eroding any uniqueness and potentially innovation itself. He thinks we over-idealize competition.
That's a strong counter-narrative. But, history is full of dominant companies becoming complacent, maybe even exploitative. Does Thiel address how to prevent that good monopoly from turning bad?
That's a really fair question. He doesn't explicitly talk much about, say, regulation as a check, but his framework itself kind of implies a guardrail.
How so?
Well, the very things he says you need, the proprietary tech that's 10x better, the network effects, the scale, the brand, they all demand continuous improvement and delivering superior value.
So the moment you get complacent,
you open the door for someone else to make their 0 to 1 leap and potentially displace you. So the guardrail is kind of baked in.
Mm,
You have to keep being that much better.
okay, got it. So if this good monopoly is the target, how do you actually build one? What's Thiel's blueprint? He seems to have a pretty clear framework.
He does. It's almost like a checklist. He outlines 4 key characteristics that need to come together.
All right, let's break them down. Number one.
First, proprietary technology. And this isn't just a minor edge or a patent on something trivial. It has to be substantially better, ideally 10 times better, than anything else out there. That creates a real defensible barrier.
10 times better. That's a high bar. What's next?
Second, network effects. This is huge.
Yeah.
The product or service becomes more valuable as more people use it.
Like social media or marketplaces or PayPal.
Exactly. More users attract more users, making it harder for competitors to catch up. It locks people in, and the value just compounds.
Okay, number three.
Third, economies of scale. A business gets stronger as it gets bigger. Your fixed costs get spread over more customers, your operational efficiency improves. It gets harder and harder for smaller players to compete on cost or capability.
And the fourth.
Fourth, brand and distribution advantages. You can have the best tech, but if nobody knows about it or can easily buy it, you're sunk. A strong brand builds trust and loyalty, and effective sales and distribution channels are critical to actually reach your market. He warns against underestimating sales.
So those four together, proprietary tech, network effects, scale, and brand distribution, that's the combination for a defensible position.
That's his argument. They reinforce each other to create a lasting advantage.
Beyond those structural things, though, he puts huge emphasis on mindset, right? Finding secrets. What's he really talking about there?
Yeah, secrets. It sounds a bit mysterious, but it's about finding important truths that aren't widely recognized or appreciated yet.
Like hidden knowledge.
Kind of. Hidden insights about technology, about markets, about people, things that most people overlook or maybe even think are impossible. Finding one of these secrets and building a company around it is, for Thiel, the core of a 0-to-1 venture.
And it requires thinking differently, being contrarian.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to question conventional wisdom, to see possibilities where others see dead ends. But it's not just about having a weird idea. It's about finding a contrarian truth, validating it, and then having the courage to act on it decisively.
That acting decisively part ties into his idea of definite planning, doesn't it? The whole you are not a lottery ticket thing.
Exactly. He's very critical of what he calls indefinite optimism.
Just sort of hoping things will get better without a real plan. I feel called out.
Yeah, many of us probably do. He argues for definite, deliberate planning, having a clear vision for the future and a concrete strategy for how you're going to build it step by step, not just reacting, but actively creating.
And this includes that last mover advantage idea, too.
Right. It's not always about being first. It's about being the last one standing, the one who figures out the durable model, captures the long-term value, and really defines the category. Definite planning helps you build towards that enduring position.
So it's strategy, but it's also the foundations, getting the very beginning right.
Precisely. Definite planning starts on day one. Who's on the founding team? How is equity divided? What's the core mission and culture? He calls this the mechanics of mafia, building this incredibly tight-knit, mission-driven team.
Like a loyal inner circle.
Kind of, yeah. A team so aligned and committed that they're almost unbreakable. He stresses that these early foundational decisions are incredibly hard to fix later on. Get them right, or you're building on shaky ground.
Okay, that's a really powerful, coherent framework. You can see why it resonates with so many entrepreneurs.
Definitely. It's clear, opinionated, actionable in many ways.
But, like any strong perspective, we need to look at it critically. And we found a great review by Sebastian Martin in the startup that does just that. It gives a more, let's say, nuanced view.
Yeah, this review is super helpful. It helps us step back from just summarizing Thiel and really think about, how well does this actually apply? Where are the potential blind spots? Martin points out there are good ideas, but also bad ideas and some WTF graphics.
Okay, let's start with the good. Where does Martin agree with Thiel?
Well, he's fully on board with the core premise that building something unique, the 0-to-1 way, is fundamentally better than just copying existing stuff. He agrees that innovation means rethinking things from the ground up.
Makes sense. What else?
He also gives Thiel credit for emphasizing that unique doesn't automatically mean useful. The value proposition has to be there. And he thinks the advice on building mission-aligned teams and figuring out the right sales strategy, high volume versus high touch, is really solid practical advice.
He liked the 7 indicators too, right? Technology, timing, monopoly, team.
Yes, the 7 questions: technology, timing, monopoly potential, team. distribution sales, durability future, and the secret. Martin sees that as a pretty useful checklist for founders thinking through their venture, so lots of agreement on the core strategic points.
Okay, but now for the bad critiques. Where does Martin start to push back? This is where it gets interesting.
Right, one big point he raises is the relevance of Thiel's examples, especially PayPal.
Because it started way back in '98.
Exactly. Martin questions how applicable lessons from the dot-com boom era are to startups launching in, say, 2012 when the lectures happened, or even later. Is the context too different?
That's a fair point. Does he think the advice is limited then?
He suggests it might be. He thinks it fits best for those high-tech, super scalable, venture-backed startups. Maybe not so much for like a local coffee shop or a service business.
Okay, what else?
He takes issue with the implication that a company needs to become a monopoly before it can really care about its employees or social impact.
Ah, the idea that ethics is a luxury of profitability.
Kind of. Martin argues that good values, treating workers well, considering broader impact, those should be baked in from the start, not bolted on later once you're dominant. He finds the idea that you need monopoly profits to be ethical. A bit weird, as he puts it.
And the tone. You mentioned Martin found it dogmatic.
Yeah, he describes it as very black and white. Thiel's way or the wrong way. Very little room for nuance or alternative paths to success.
Which could lead to bias.
Exactly. Martin points to potential confirmation bias or survivorship bias. Thiel mostly talks about the huge winners, like Apple, and Martin questions even calling Apple an '80s startup in this context. He doesn't really analyze the failures, the unique ideas that seem fanatical but just didn't work out.
So Thiel's examples might be selective.
That's the concern. Martin also criticizes Thiel's generalizations about people lumping groups into stereotypes like hipsters, or contrasting high-salaried lab drones in biotech with committed entrepreneurial hackers in IT. Martin counters that actually lots of successful founders are pretty normal people, not necessarily the extreme archetypes Thiel sometimes implies are needed.
Okay, so applicability concerns, ethical sequence questions, dogmatic tone, potential bias, anything else under bad?
Those are the main ones. It's really about questioning the universality and the sometimes overly simplistic black and white presentation.
All right, now just for fun, tell me about the ugly critiques, the WTF graphics.
Slight chuckle. Yeah, Martin has some fun with this. He calls the visualizations truly awful and basically garbage.
Like what?
Vague Venn diagrams that supposedly explain movie scripts or abstract concepts like human control over the universe. He mentioned these odd portraits, the Unabomber, a hipster, alongside Gates, Jobs, Lady Gaga, with the connections being totally unclear.
Seriously? The Unabomber.
Apparently, Martin's quote was something like, "There is a connection, I'm just not sure where."
Okay, that's memorable.
It is. And while it's a lighter point, it kind of reinforces his overall critique about the book sometimes being dogmatic or padding things out with stuff that doesn't really clarify the core, valuable insights.
So putting it all together, Thiel's strong framework and Martin's critical points, what are the really actionable takeaways for you, the listener? How do you use this?
Okay, let's synthesize. Combining Thiel's advice with Martin's cautions gives us a pretty balanced checklist, I think. 1. Find a secret and be contrarian. Look for those underestimated truths, but, and this is key, validate them. Test your assumptions. Don't just be different and right.
Okay, seek unique insights, but ground them. Got it. 2.
2. Start small, dominate a niche. Don't try to boil the ocean. Find a specific small market you can realistically dominate first, then expand. Build from a strong base.
Makes sense. Focus before scaling. 3.
3. Build proprietary advantage. Aim for that 10x improvement Thiel talks about, something genuinely measurably better. Marginal improvements often aren't enough to escape competition.
Go for breakthrough, not just tweaks. 4.
4. Plan distribution early. Don't assume a great product sells itself. Think about sales, marketing, how you'll actually get it to customers right from the beginning.
Product and path to market. 5.
5. Design for network effects, if possible.
Yeah.
If your type of business allows for it, build in mechanisms where more users inherently increase the value for everyone. That creates powerful lock-in.
Build value that compounds with growth. 6.
6. Think long-term and build a strong foundation. Avoid that indefinite optimism. Have a definite plan. Get the founding team, the equity, the mission-driven culture right from day one, and hire people who truly believe in that mission.
Plan deliberately. Build carefully. And lastly,
7. Avoid competition traps. Recognize when a market is just a brutal race to the bottom with everyone looking the same. If that's where you are, seriously consider pivoting or finding a radically new angle to create unique value. Don't just compete, create.
Those are really concrete points. They feel like things you can actually use to guide your thinking and actions, whether you're starting something new or trying to innovate within an existing structure. It's about being bold, like Thiel advocates, but also critically aware, like Martin suggests.
Exactly. And if you zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture. Thiel's work, even with the criticisms, really pushes us to ask a fundamental question.
Which is?
Are we basically content to just keep optimizing the present, making small tweaks here and there, or do we actually have the courage, and maybe more importantly, the definite plan, to try and invent a radically different, hopefully better, future? Are we thinking 1 to N, or are we aiming for 0 to 1?
That's a powerful question to leave people with. 0 to 1 is definitely a compact book. It's readable, and it will make you think, no doubt about it. Highly recommend it for founders, innovators, anyone interested in contrarian thinking. But as we've explored today, read it with a critical eye. Pair its boldness with other perspectives on execution, on ethics, on applicability. So what stands out to you from our discussion today? What secret might be waiting in your own field, waiting to be uncovered?
Lots to chew on there.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging, keep questioning, and keep building the future.